Hello and welcome to All About the Ancient World. We are an online lecture series started in 2021 by a group of early career researchers, or ECRs, studying the ancient world. Our mission is to host video lectures created by other ECRs on our YouTube channel, where we hope to not only promote the voices and research of these up-and-coming ancient world scholars, but also to guide them through the experience of creating a professional and accessible video lecture. I'm Sierra Shiano, and I'll be hosting this video on how to record video lectures. But first, you might be wondering, why is this a skill I need to learn? Well, it's no surprise that there's been an increase in online conferences, Zoom lectures, and remote teaching due to the constraints of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, there are many benefits to these kinds of remote or virtual hybrid educational events. First off, you don't have to worry about the financial and logistical constraints of travel. Second, they give greater flexibility to both presenters and attendees. And finally, the information disseminated at these events can be made available more permanently and can reach a wider audience on the internet. And frankly, virtual remote events aren't likely to disappear even as COVID-19 restrictions have been easing around the world. Because of this, there's a greater likelihood that academics will be asked to present lectures remotely and asynchronously by providing pre-recorded videos. For example, at the last two annual meetings of the Archaeological Institute of America and the Society for Classical Studies, presenters were encouraged to record their talks ahead of time, and the videos were then streamed live during the panel. Meanwhile, the 2021 Antiquity in Media Studies annual meeting took a slightly different approach by making their presenters' videos available for attendees to watch ahead of time, which then allowed for longer and more in-depth discussions during the panel's Q&A. Some conferences plan to make their presentations available after the fact by posting them on a virtual conference platform or on YouTube. This is a great solution to the persistent problem of conference time conflicts. Like, say you want to attend two talks that are happening at the same time, or a lecture conflicts with your regular work or class schedule, or maybe a workshop takes place at the same time you need to go pick up your kids from school. Making lectures available asynchronously avoids all of these issues. Plus, having an online presence, whether that's through, a talk or a conference panel being posted online, or through presenting with All About the Ancient World, will make your research available to the public and also highlight your presentation skills to other academics and even future students or employers. Speaking of students, having a solid grasp on how to make a pre-recorded video lecture also helps with remote teaching. There are countless reasons why students might struggle in a strictly synchronous classroom, but succeed with more accessible asynchronous resources. By now, many of you have probably witnessed an online educational event that was either held up due to technical issues or maybe struggled to keep your attention because the speaker just didn't adapt their lecture style to the medium that they were presenting in. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of why we created All About the Ancient World. We want to provide a platform where ECRs studying the ancient world can not only present their research, but also gain the technical skills necessary to create an engaging video lecture. However, this video is not intended only for ECRs, but for all academics, as these are skills that all researchers can benefit from. So to answer the question, why do I need to learn how to make a video lecture? We at All About the Ancient World believe that video lectures are not just some temporary inconvenience that will disappear as soon as the pandemic is over. Rather, they are a promising medium in which academics can expand their usual set of presentation skills and potentially reach new audiences. Now, this video will give an overview of some of the most basic ways to record video lectures by using Zoom, PowerPoint, and OBS Studio, plus a bonus section on Panopto. Now, you're probably already familiar with some of these programs, but there may be features you haven't heard about yet, or things you've seen other people do that you want to try for yourself. Rather than wasting time scouring the internet for 5 different instructional videos and articles, we've collected that information into one short video for beginners. So without further ado, let's get started. Before getting into the nitty-gritty technical stuff, I want to start by talking about style. Over the past few years, there's developed a sort of traditional online lecture style. It usually consists of some kind of slideshow taking up a majority of the screen, while the presenter's video takes up a small space in the corner of the screen, like this. In these lectures, The visual emphasis is on the text or images in the slideshow. This is great when, say, a presenter is focusing on specific details in an image or reading aloud a long quote, but they can also end up too monotonous and static, and you risk losing your audience's attention. These types of presentations can be made more dynamic by zooming in on certain key visuals, or by highlighting important words, or simply just by using slide transitions and image text animations. And generally, because of this, the presenter will spend more time creating their slideshow than editing their video. For some examples of this traditional online lecture style, check out the video lectures we posted on All About the Ancient World's YouTube channel so far. In contrast, a YouTube video essay style is more like what I've been doing in this video so far. My face takes up a majority of the screen, which means the emphasis is on my expressions and my body language. I can either intersperse my video with images and text, or I can make those elements share the screen with me. This style requires the presenter to spend more time editing, but they don't have to create as detailed a slideshow before recording. Now, I'm getting the phrase YouTube video essay from the genre of entertaining/educational videos that have been developing on YouTube over the past decade. They are essentially just essays in video form, but often filled with very interesting visuals and presented by enthusiastic creators. Now, I'm not saying that every academic needs to become a YouTuber, but I do think we would benefit from taking some stylistic cues from these video essayists to make our lectures more engaging for our viewers. I mean, these videos get millions of views for a reason. If you want to get a better sense of what an educational video essay looks like, I recommend checking out PBS's Storied channel, which hosts a variety of video essay series like It's Lit, Other Words, and Monstrum. Okay, now we can get into the nitty-gritty stuff. Zoom and Microsoft PowerPoint are probably the best recording services for the traditional online lecture style. Both are available for Macs and PCs, but while the basic Zoom account is free, you do need to own a version of Microsoft Office in order to use PowerPoint. Now, as a warning, neither PowerPoint Online nor Google Slides have a recording function, so for PowerPoint you really do need to use the desktop version. You'll also have more options if you use a paid Zoom account, but more on that later. We've put links for where to download, Zoom, and purchase PowerPoint in the description below. Now let's review how to record a video using Microsoft PowerPoint. Now keep in mind that different versions of PowerPoint will all look slightly different, but as long as you're using the desktop version, you should still have all the same recording options. Just so you know, I'm using Microsoft Office Home and Student 2019. So, when your slides are all done and you're ready to record, go to the top taskbar and go to the Record tab. From here, you'll see there's a button that says Record, and you'll have two options, either to record from current slide or from the beginning. This is just as if you were doing a presentation in person, same type of options. I'm going to do from beginning. Alright, so here we are in PowerPoint's recording mode. As you can see, my slideshow occupies the middle of the screen and my video is down in the bottom right-hand corner. There are two buttons underneath my video, one for the microphone and one for the camera. If for whatever reason I wanted to turn off my camera and just record a voiceover, I can do that as well. Now, probably the most important buttons are in the upper left-hand corner. We have our Record button, Stop button, and Replay. You can use the Replay button to watch what you just recorded and check to see if you like it. If you didn't like it, you can go to the Clear button over here and select Clear Recordings on Current Slide, or Clear Recordings on All Slides. Now, the interesting thing about PowerPoint is that you're essentially creating individual recordings for each slide one at a time. And then at the very end, PowerPoint stitches them all together and produces one single MP4 file. So say you recorded slides 1, 2, and 3, but you went back and rewatched slide 1 and decided you don't really like it. Well, you can go to Clear Recordings on Current Slide, and then completely redo it. When PowerPoint stitches them all together at the end, it'll seem very seamless. And if you don't like what you recorded for any of the slides, you can always Clear Recording on All Slides. Now in the center, you'll notice this Notes button. As I wrote here, this is where I would put notes if this was a real lecture and I had some kind of script that I was referencing. The cool thing about this is that none of these notes will appear in the final video. This is for our eyes only. And as you can see, this is also very small, so you can press these buttons to make them larger or smaller. At the very bottom, you'll see that there are a lot of different buttons down here. Well, these are basically markup tools that you can use to draw attention to specific parts of your slideshow. On the left here, we have a laser pointer, and then to the right, there's a pen and a highlighter. You can use these buttons to switch the color of your pen or highlighter. And when you're done, use the erase button to get rid of it all. Now, to move on to the next slide, simply press one of these buttons or use the buttons on your keyboard. But keep in mind, since you're recording individual clips for each slide, you can't talk during the transition or your audio will get cut off. Now, to demonstrate what a recording will look like, when you press the red record button, you'll get a countdown. And now it's recording. Again, you can press pause if you need to take a break, continue recording, and then stop when you're totally done. Now you can see that my video in the bottom right-hand corner is frozen. That's what tells me there's something been recorded here, and in the bottom left, I can see, ooh, I recorded 11 seconds of footage. If I want to watch those 11 seconds, I press the replay button. And now it's recording. When you're done recording everything, simply press the escape button to be brought back to editing mode. So now that I finished adding a recording to this particular slide, you can see that my video is now in the bottom right-hand corner. I have the option to watch it again, see if I like it. And now it's recording. See this little red button in the... I also have the option to make the video larger or smaller, and to move it around my screen and put it wherever I like. Now, as you can see, it's inevitable that your video is going to overlap with your presentation somewhat, so make sure you keep that in mind when designing your PowerPoint. Once you're finished with all your recordings and you're ready to make the final product, go to the top and click Export to Video. Make sure you're saving it at least 1080p, and of course make sure you select Use Recorded Timings and Narrations, then Create Video. Select somewhere to save it on your computer, and then wait till it finishes processing. And that's it! Now you know the basics of how to record using PowerPoint. Now I'll be passing it off to another lovely member of the All About the Ancient World team, Emily Prosch, who will be demonstrating how to record videos using Zoom.
Hello, I'm Emily Prosch, and I am going to show you in these segments both how to use Zoom, the free and subscription options, and also Panopto. So with Zoom, you can see here, I'm sharing my screen, and this is a free account that I've set up. Now, we recommend doing a test video before you launch into your final presentation when you're doing these kinds of recordings. When you have your video on, do a short test recording just to see where the video of yourself is in relation to your slides, because as Sierra showed with PowerPoint, it depends on what you're using. Mine overlaps slightly, as you'll see in the example shortly, but it depends on the ratio of your slides and the computer you're using. So log in to Zoom. This is my login with a free account, and you can either start a new meeting with just yourself as a participant by either scheduling a meeting or hosting a meeting with your video on. For instance, I'm going to start this meeting as a test. So I'm opening Zoom, launching the meeting, and here we are. You can have the option here to test your speaker and microphone. For instance, I'm using a microphone just to make sure you know what's coming up where. So join with your computer audio, start your video, and unmute. Now from Zoom, you can share your screen. You want to have your video on if you want to include yourself in the recording. So share your screen. This comes up with options. You can either share your entire desktop or you can share a specific window. So I'm going to share my PowerPoint example, which is already in slideshow mode. So select that and share. So here we are. You can see that this is highlighted in green, so I know exactly which window I'm sharing. And you can move your video around, but be aware that it will be pinned to the upper right corner once your video is done. So you can share, you can go through your slides, and you can start and stop your recording. So this, for instance, is just sharing, and when you actually want to record, be sure to hit record. I'm not recording with audio purely because I'm already recording this presentation. So here we go, there's your slide. You can see here that it is recording, that's what that signal means, as well as sharing your screen. Now you can start and stop your recording, you can pause, or you can fully stop. So say you want to take a break, go ahead and pause. And the great thing about Zoom is that you can start and stop as much as you like, and it will keep it all as one file and wait until you're done to process it. So go ahead and start and stop. I'm going to fully stop this recording and stop sharing. Now that you've done that, when you end the meeting, it will convert your meeting to a recording. Now I'm using the free version, which will ask you shortly when it's done with the recording where you want to save your file. So mine automatically defaults to saving it to my documents folder. You can go ahead and do that, or you can choose a new location anywhere on your desktop or various other folders. So I'll go ahead and save it here, and it will create a folder with your video file, an audio file, and then one other file. So what you're interested in is this video file. So now that that has processed, you are back at your Zoom account. And you can see because, again, this is using a free recording, you do not have the option of recording to your cloud. So that's why you do have to save it to your computer, and it will ask you that. And that's how the process works with a Mac. So I can show you, this is an example of the free recording. Now mine overlaps a little bit with my video pinned in the upper right hand corner, and it overlaps with my slides a little bit. So again, that's why we recommend doing a test video, just to see, depending on what account you're using and the ratio of your slides, where your video will end up, so you don't accidentally cover up information on your slide. Now with a PC, the settings are a little bit different. So you can go to settings in Zoom, which is a gear icon, and click on recording, and then select a location ahead of time for where you want to store your recording. And you can set whether you want it to automatically record or if you want to press start. There's also an option to make sure on a PC that you've selected record video during screen sharing, and this will make your video appear in the upper right hand corner, as in that example in your final MP4 file. It doesn't matter where you drag your video around the screen while you're recording, it'll stay fixed in the upper right hand corner. You can also select place video next to the shared screen in the recording on a PC. With this setting on, your video stays in the upper right hand corner but no longer overlap with the shared screen. Instead, it'll hang off to the side, separate from your slides, and you'll have a black bar underneath. Now with a paid Zoom account, which you might have through, for instance, your institution or your university, you have the option to save to the cloud rather than your local computer. This is helpful if you don't have a lot of space on your computer to store lots of video files. When you hit record, it will ask you if you want to save it to your computer or to the cloud. So for instance, I've already set up this test meeting, so I'll start that. We'll go through this process again of launching the meeting. I'll join with my computer audio again. And this is where it will ask you if you want to record on this computer or record to the cloud. So I'm going to do just a test recording here where, again, I'm sharing my screen with my PowerPoint. And that's here. And again, you can drag your video around. It doesn't matter. It will ultimately end up pinned to the upper right. So I'm sharing, but be sure to actually go here, record to the cloud. And here we are again. You can see that you are in fact recording, and this will produce a video with yourself and then your slides. Now I'm going to stop sharing and stop my recording. There's a difference between pausing and ending your recording. I'll end that meeting and go back to my account. And you can see that this is processing the recording. Now, the good thing about recording with the cloud, if you have a professional account, is that you can go to settings, and with your recording, you have a lot more options for what you want to record, where if you want the speaker, if you want anybody watching your video, the shared screen, so make sure shared screen is selected. And then you can also create an audio transcript. Now, this is really useful. For instance, at All About the Ancient World, we do ask presenters to submit an audio transcript because that way we can create accurate captions and subtitles for accessibility. So we will go back to recordings. And so this, very short test video that I did is done processing. You have options to share it. You can select whether people can download it if they can see the transcript. And then you also have the option to download your files. So this will include, again, that transcript option and then various videos. So one video will be the combination of yourself and your slides, a video of just yourself, and then a video of just your slides. So make sure if you're submitting a file for something, you're submitting the correct one that you want that has both you and your slides in it. So for instance, this is what mine looks like when I download that cloud version. So unlike with the free account where my video overlapped a little bit, in this version they are side by side, and you have that black space underneath your presenter video so that you're not overlapping your slide. So that is how to use Zoom, a couple different versions. Also keep in mind with the free version, you only have 40 minutes. So probably for, a conference or for All About the Ancient World, that will be well within your time limit. And that is how you present on Zoom. Okay, so now I will show you how to record using Panopto, which is fairly similar to Zoom, although it's not supported well by Safari, so make sure you're using a different browser. You have the option of logging into a free individual account, so that's just your basic account, or you might have a subscription through your university or institution. On the home screen, once you log in, Panopto does have plenty of videos to help you out if you want to go more in depth with this or looking for other tutorials. Once you log in, you can create a presentation. So for our purposes, we're going to record a video. There is an option to build a session where you can integrate audio, video, and slides, but that's more like video editing, so we're going to stick with recording a video. So when you bring that up, it will look like this. You can see yourself. And in the settings, this is important, you can change your background, either have no background, you can blur it, or you can set another image. You can choose the definition that you record in, so standard definition, and the stream output is also important. To record just the slides and your audio, you'll want to capture streams separately. So if you don't want to do a video, then you'll do them separately. If you do want to include yourself in the video, then you'll want to combine all streams into one. So this will ensure that you're capturing both your slides or your presentation, and then also an inset video of yourself. So we'll keep that set here. So to record a presentation, much like with Zoom, you can choose either to share your entire screen, so your entire desktop, a specific window, or a specific tab. So here again, my slideshow is already in slideshow mode, so make sure it's in slideshow and not presenter mode so that you see that full slide in your window. We'll go ahead and share that, and you can see Panopto is telling you that you're sharing your screen. So you can see both the screen that you're sharing and then your video inset as well. So once you have shared, you can go ahead and hit record. The nice thing about Panopto is that it does give you a countdown, so you have a second to change windows or whatever you need to do. And you can go ahead and go through your PowerPoint, whatever you need to do. And when you're done, the thing with Panopto is that you do have to record it all in one go, so you cannot start and stop your recording because it will create separate files every time you start and stop. So you can go through and edit it through Panopto, but you do have to record it all in one shot. So we'll go ahead and stop this recording. And this screen will come up as it processes your video. If you select redo, that will delete your current recording. So only do that if you want to redo the entire thing. You can also record a new project. And here you can title your video, and it will automatically save it to the folder in your profile. So you don't have to hit save or anything, it will just process it and put it there. So if we go to your folder and refresh, you can see there's that video. You have the option once you're here to share that through either a link, or you can add people, or if you actually open the video, it will automatically start playing, but you can also download it from there. So once your video is recorded, you can open your video, click on captions, and you can see your captions show up here. I don't believe that you can edit them here, but you can at least see them, and you could copy them and download them as a separate transcript. So it's pretty straightforward. Again, that difference is just the video inset is a little bit larger with Panopto, so make sure again that you do a test video and see where the information is and where your video shows up on your slides. So that is how you record with Panopto, and I will hand it back to Sierra to talk about OBS.
In this last section, I'm going to show you how to record videos with OBS Studio. OBS stands for Open Broadcaster Software, and it's a free-to-use program that can be downloaded for Macs and PCs. You can find a link to download OBS in the description below. Now, I'm sure there are plenty of other programs out there, but OBS has always impressed me for being fairly straightforward and versatile at the same time. Of the 3 programs we've discussed in this video, OBS is best suited for the YouTube video essay type lecture. It can be used to record yourself, your screen, and both at the same time. It's also good for adding voiceovers. Maybe you forgot to add something in your video, but now your room's a mess and you don't want to record with your camera on, so you just record a voiceover and stick it in. I mean, that never happens to me. Anyway, so here's what OBS generally looks like. Everything you see in this central box is what the program will be recording. Ironically, I have to record this section using Zoom because OBS can't record itself, and you really do need to see all this behind the scenes stuff in order for this to make sense.
This is also why the audio quality became so much worse in this section. I've been using the same microphone to record this entire video, but every other section up to this point was recorded with OBS Studio, and this section is recorded with Zoom. So what can I say, guys? OBS is just the better program. Zoom's audio quality, not very good.
So most important, on the right side under Controls, there are several buttons. The only one you really need to worry about is Start Recording. As soon as you press this, it's going to switch over to saying Stop Recording. There's also a Pause button on the side if you need to stop and take a break. Now, the way to tell if you are currently recording or if you're paused is to look down below. If you see a red dot and it says REC Record with a timer counting off, that means you're recording. If you press pause, you're going to get the pause icon and it will tell you paused. Very straightforward, right? So when you've done your bit and you're finished recording, you press stop recording and the program will automatically save the video to somewhere on your computer. On my PC, it shows up in a folder called videos. To find out where OBS will save your videos, go to the File tab in the left-hand corner, click Show Recordings. Ta-da! The second important area you need to pay attention to with OBS is Sources, down here on the left side. This area is basically where you select all the things you want OBS to record. So for instance, video capture device is set to my webcams. That's what records the video of me. Audio input capture is set to my snowball speaker. This is what records me talking. Underneath that, we have display capture. That's what refers to my screen and whatever programs I might run on it. Underneath that, we have audio output capture. That's set to my computer speakers. So that's what records whenever my computer makes noise, like say I'm playing a YouTube video or playing some music. The last one on this list is image. You can have static images show up in your video, say as maybe a border to go around your camera, or maybe as an image floating off to the side of your head. Now, these eyeball icons are actually very important. They're basically what tells you if the source is on or off. If the eye is open, that means OBS can see that source. So right now I have video capture device and audio input capture open. The rest are slashed out, which means they're off. So if I want to put an image on my screen, I would go to the eyeball and click on it, and it should appear, but you've noticed there's this box here. It should be right here, but you can't see it. That just means that the image is currently underneath my video capture device. So to change the order, right-click the image and go to where it says order. You can either move it up or down or just bring it all the way to the top. So let's try that. Ta-da! Little icon right next to my head. Now, if I'm done with this image and I want it to go away, I just press the eyeball button again. To add a source, press the plus button and then choose whatever type of source it is you want to add. To delete a source, make sure you've selected on the list first and then press the minus button. It'll give you a little warning if you want to remove the image. If you delete a source on accident, do not worry about it. You can always add it back. Now, I know there are a lot of other buttons and icons on this program, but again, this is just the basics, bare bones. You don't have to worry about those things. But if there's something you do want to learn more about, maybe something we can explore in another more advanced video, please leave a suggestion in the comments below. So just to walk through this together, if you want to record a video of just yourself talking, make sure you have video capture device and audio input capture on. If you want to record your presentation with yourself talking kind of like a voiceover, then you want to have display capture and audio input capture on.
If you're just recording a voiceover to stitch into your video later, only keep audio input capture on. Turn everything else off.
When I make a YouTube video essay style lecture, I usually record multiple clips, some of myself just talking, others of my presentation, and then I'll stitch them together during the editing process. But more on how to do that in our next video. Now, if you want to record both yourself and your screen at the same time, more like a traditional online lecture, that is possible. You just have to have video capture device, audio input capture, and display capture on at the same time. You might be wondering, wait, Sierra, how does that work? You have all three of them on right now, but we can only see your video capture device. The display capture must be underneath, so how do you show both at the same time? Well, simply select the video capture device in your preview box here and shrink it, like that. So as you can see, my video capture device is now up here in the corner. My display capture is still taking up a majority of the screen. Now, I know it looks like this scary infinity echo chamber, but that's just because I'm currently looking at OBS Studio. If I were to minimize this and open up a PowerPoint, it would just record the PowerPoint and you wouldn't have this weird overlapping issue. So in OBS Studio, not only can you shrink or enlarge any of the visual capture devices, you can also move them around. So say you want the video of yourself to be in the center or in the bottom left-hand corner instead of on the right. Totally flexible. And note that the source that I'm currently manipulating is highlighted in red, and the other one is highlighted in blue. If I wanted to switch over, I simply click on that, and now here I am manipulating the display capture. I can even add the image back in and move that around. And there you have it. Those are the basics on how to record with OBS Studio.
One last note before we end this video. You might be wondering what kind of hardware you need to record a video lecture. Well, essentially, all you need is a computer, a microphone, and a camera. And a lot of computers these days come with microphones and web cameras built into them. But not all microphones and web cameras are created equal, so you might want to invest in ones that will create crisper audio files and higher resolution videos. Now, there are tons of options out there for external microphones and webcams, and what you get will ultimately depend on your budget. For me, personally, I decided that my computer's built-in web camera was good enough, but I did want to invest in a better microphone, so I bought this Snowball Black Ice mic
from Amazon for about 50 bucks. It uses a USB cord to connect to my computer, and it stands on a little tripod, and generally it just produces a clearer audio file and helps cut down on background noise. I also wasn't happy with how dark it gets at my desk, so I bought this $20 LED ring light, also from Amazon. As you can see, it's quite large. You can get ones that are smaller. It also stands on a tripod, but this one's adjustable, and it also connects to my computer with a USB cord. You can also adjust how bright and how dim it gets, and you can switch between, a cooler and a warmer toned light. Because I use the web camera that's built into my computer, I can't really vouch for any of the ones that are on the market right now, but if you do decide to invest in an external webcam, as always, read the reviews first, and try to get one that supports 1080p or higher resolution videos rather than 720. Well folks, that brings us to the end of this video on how to record video lectures. To recap, we've discussed different presentation styles from the traditional online lecture to the YouTube video essay, and we've demonstrated how to use PowerPoint, Zoom, Panopto, and OBS Studio. Next up, we'll be putting out a video on how to edit video lectures using programs like iMovie and DaVinci Resolve. To circle back to our conversation at the beginning of this video, making content like this is part of All About the Ancient World's mission to support early career researchers by guiding them through the process of creating a polished and professional video lecture. As we mentioned earlier, being able to present your research to a general or specific audience has always been an important skill, but being able to do it virtually has become an additional necessity, and one which we would rather embrace than ignore. If you have any questions about the content of this video, please leave a comment below or reach out to us through the contact page on our website, which is linked in the description below. We'd also love to hear about any sections you found particularly useful or things that you'd like to learn more about in a future video. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share it with your friends and colleagues. You can also follow us on social media such as Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to get updates about future videos and calls for papers. Speaking of which, All About the Ancient World is always accepting applications, which we review every 3 months. Check out the call for papers on our website and submit an abstract by September 1st to be considered for our next cycle of videos. For inspiration, head to our YouTube channel's main page to watch some of the fascinating lectures we've published so far. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.